In this class, we're going to talk about how to create labeled groups and analyze your competition. This is going to bring us back to basically where we started with the discussion, which is once I have these keywords and these keywords in lists and I need to bring them over into some kind of tracking software, what do I do? How should I think about that? And really, what are my objectives, particularly as it relates to the competition? So let's talk about how to create labeled groups and then how we can assess the competition associated with those. So we are in the dashboard here for the Moz Pro campaign, the rankings tool. If we need to get to this, we go to the campaigns tool on the drop down for Moz Pro, and then we can select the rankings tool. That takes us here. Now in the rankings tool, there's this search visibility figure. The search visibility figure relates to the estimated average click-through rate for the total number of keywords that we're showing. In this case, this campaign has 11 keywords tracked, and we have 11 keywords showing. Now, if I was looking at this campaign, I'd say I would want quite a few more keywords within this campaign. I would want probably hundreds, but this is just an example so we can use it here. Recall that search visibility is the estimated average click-through, so therefore what we're kind of seeing or in this graph is saying that our estimated average click-through across all 11 keywords is not bad. It's actually pretty much like as if we were ranking number 2 for most of those keywords on average. This could mean that we rank number 1 for quite a few and number 18 for some, or maybe all of them rank basically somewhere in the second ranked position. We don't really know. We need to dig in a little bit more, but generally speaking, not bad. Not bad. 14%, 15% is not bad. Now, what if I want to label these keywords in some way? What if I want to go in there and say, amongst these 11 keywords, I really want to isolate a few of those and track those words separate than the others so I can see how I do in terms of search visibility compared to those, and certainly do that over time. I would watch that on this graph down here. This graph is updated on a weekly basis and would show me how I'm doing. At this, currently what it's showing me is showing me all 11 keywords, but I want to isolate a few. So how do I do that? Well, I can go over to this Add and Manage Keywords tab, select that. That'll take me to the Add and Manage Keywords menu options. You can see there's a couple of different features up here. Tracked keywords is where I can see the list of keywords that I have, and then these are the labels that are attached. So when they're branded labels, as in it's a branded term, that branded label would be this color. If it's not a branded label and it's a label that I've created, it'll be gray. Now, there's a couple different ways to add labels. I'll show you the way that involves when you're adding words, and I'll show you another way you can do manually. So when I'm adding keywords, if I go to this tab, I can copy paste keywords from a CSV. If I exported it from Keyword Explorer, or if I export it from someplace else, I can put it into the Add Keywords. And then down here, I can add a label to all those keywords up above. So this is a very quick way. If you can imagine that you have your matrix of different keywords and you just bring those over in bulk, add labels, and you can do that very quickly. The alternative is if you already have keywords within your campaign, you can go to the Track Keywords tab, select those. In this case, I've selected 3 of them down here that I'd want to add a label to, and then I can go up to this Add Label tab. Once I'm on the Add Label tab, this will populate this little menu option. I can select amongst an existing label if I wanted to, or I could put in a new label. And let's say that I want to put in a new label there, so I type in something. In this case, I could say, hey, these are related to my the cell in one of my matrix. So this would say, hey, this is a, maybe I call this like my middle of the funnel tax calculator, or I don't have to leave that. It's up to it's your preferences. But nonetheless, we create a label that we put in there associated with these keywords. And then once I click on the button, it then says, okay, it's added those labels. So now I have tax calculator added to those different keywords. Now I can add as many labels as I'd like to these words, so I can get quite sophisticated with those. Once we have those, we want to jump back over to our Rankings tab and select the Rankings tab. And then I can use this filtering, right? So I have a label now that I'm able to filter. So I can use the filtering feature. In this case, I'll add the tax calculator label, and look what happens to our search visibility. We had 3 keywords that we added the label to, and sure enough, only 3 keywords are showing. And let's go ahead and go back. So 14.98 across all keywords. Pretty good. Tax calculator keywords that have been labeled, not as good. In fact, we've had a little bit of a degradation you can see here. Is this sufficient information? Well, it's interesting, but is it actionable? Right? We want to get to something where we can take action. So now I know that, hey, I have search visibility of a certain amount for a given labeled keyword for a set of keywords. That can be insightful, but what kind of action can I take associated with that? Well, generally speaking, yeah, we did not so great, right? But let's look at the competition. How do we fare related to our competitors? And so if we select the competition, we can say, how do I do compared to my competitors? Which specific competitors am I actually up against? And am I improving or are things getting worse? So here we can kind of see that, if we're the blue line, looks like there's been some degradation and we're now in parity with one of our competitors, and that competitor looks like they're maybe a little bit above us for the recent term. So I'd really want to dig in there and say, what happened? What caused this degradation? Maybe go back and think about, in this time frame, did we do anything? Did we make any changes? And then look at the competitors' pages specifically as it relates to the keywords that are in this labeled group. Right? And I can also, if I wanted to, you can see here, if I wanted to get rid of these other competitors, I can isolate those simply by clicking on those buttons, and that removes them from the graph. Now, if I scroll down, I can scroll down here and actually see specifically which keywords or what their rank positions are for given keywords. So here looks like this tax jar competitor is our primary competitor. So I could go in here and select to sort by tax jars words and can see, well, they're ranking for sales tax calculator slightly above us, and they're not ranking as good for these other ones. But we have over here. So it's kind of like you can really isolate and see, well, they're doing well on this word, and I could click on sales tax calculator and go in and dig into more depth in there that would hyperlink over to the Analyze a Keyword tool. So you can use the labeled groups that we developed in the matrix, apply those to specific words, track them in campaigns, and see on a page by page and keyword by keyword basis where we're improving against specific competitors.